Hey everybody. I wanted to show you this lathe I picked up a number of years ago, and I'll go in a little bit more about why I got this one later on, but it was pretty rusty when I got it, and I got it all freed up, smoothed up, painted years ago. It's dusty. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. But what you're looking at is a 1938 Companion model maker's lathe. I think it's a 38. That's the nearest I could find the information on it, but it is a Companion, and it's a just a hobby metalworking lathe from about 1938. The motor, of course, when they sold these, they sold the motor separately, and the motor is an old Caulfield washer company from Dayton, Ohio. Motor, and it's 1750 RPM, quarter horsepower, and it draws 4.5 amps, and it runs it fine. And I actually, when I traded two other lathes to get this one that I had, both metal lathes, and this was the motor I got with it, and it runs perfectly. Now, everything on this lathe is all bushings, so you have to keep it oiled, which is no big deal. But as long as you keep it oiled, the bushings last forever. And the motor included, it has um, the provisions to oil it with. There's a name for those, I can't remember. When I got the lathe, it came with this 4-jaw chuck, and I used it a few times with the 4-jaw chuck. Um, that's actually what this bracket here is for my dial indicator, to get everything lined up with it. But I managed to find a 3-jaw chuck that fit on the spindle. I can't remember what the thread size is now, but it's a fine thread. Anyway, found one that fit it, and so I put that on there. I did add this belt guard to it. It didn't come with that, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later or in the next video, my other lathe. But anyway, yeah, I got it nice and freed up, and it was made where it has the V ways on it. It's considered a V bed model, and I made this counter pulley system. It kind of looks a little weird. It kind of looks a little Frankensteinish, but yeah, it was just an old motor that went bad, and so I saved the guts out of it and the stator and the bearings and stuff, and I got a 6-inch pulley, and I never did the math to see how much it slowed it down, but it does have a 3-step pulley right over here on the headstock, right there. So you can adjust the speed with that if you wanted to shift it all around. But I got it running right now at the slowest speed, and it seems to be pretty good. And you just, it's all oiled up now. I oil it every time before I use it. It's made where you could put a pulley on here and have it actually power feed. Or you could put up, just a drill on the end of it, clamp a drill, chuck that up on a drill, and make it power feed if you wanted to. But for the little stuff that I do with this, just having it manual is fine. But there she is running. And yeah, a really neat little lathe. And yeah, I do have a quick change tool post for it that I got. But yeah, it's a cheap one and it works, but not that well. So I just put the factory. I have a couple of those actually from other lathes that I had. Yeah, there's the chuck key for this one. Yeah, so, oh, and yeah, it is threaded here on the tailstock. And I assume this is factory. But yeah, the center comes out, and then that threads on, and you know, so you could use that for boring too. And I'm not sure what the tapers are. If they're Morse tapers, I assume they're old Morse tapers, but I'm not really sure. Um, but yeah, it's and it does have adjustable gibs on the cross slide, so you can get any play out of it. It's tight. There's no play whatsoever in it. Everything's nice and firm. It's a neat little lathe, handy size. In a small shop like I have, this is perfect. So yeah, I just wanted to show you my little companion model maker's lathe. All right, folks, let me show you this. This is my pride and joy right here. This is my first wood lathe ever. My dad gave me this when I was probably around 11 years old, something like that. And this was his first lathe that he actually got when he was about the same age. His dad was a blacksmith and a woodworker and did all kinds of things. And he told the story about his dad gave him this lathe, but he wouldn't let him keep it inside the shop. He had to keep it outside the shop with a tarp over it, and he hated that. But he kept took good care of it and everything, and it was still in good shape when he gave it to me. He made this belt guard for it, so that's why in my metal lathe video, uh, I made a belt guard similar to like what he did on his. And yeah, so this is a circa 1935 little wood lathe companion sold by Sears, and it's all bushings, bronze bushings in it, and I'm not sure, a little piece of spring steel covering this up, and I'm not sure if it came with this. I doubt it. I'd say my dad made this. Yeah, you just give it a few drops of oil right before you use it every time. Snap that on, a little dust cover and everything. Now, I do not have the original tool rest that it came with. I made this one years ago, and and then I have a bigger one also that I made for it. And when you're turning longer stuff, you know. But I forget what the distance is between centers, but it's only about 10 inches, I think. You know, it's not for anything big, but big enough for tool handles and stuff. That's mainly what I use it for. I have a bigger lathe I use for bigger stuff, but this is a handy little size if you want to knock out a quick tool handle for a file or something like that, you know. It's all cast iron, and these are the wrenches that my dad used to use on it that I'm sure he ground and made them to where, you know, they auto kit number 100 made in USA. So a quick search and I found this online. Pretty cool. Now I know what the little holes in the middle of the wrenches were for, to nestle them together. They were sold by Western Auto, 1935. These are some really old wrenches. But yeah, this knob here, I added that knob, the original knob. I forget what happened to it, but I may have had to tap it to a larger size or something like that. My dad added this little quick turn handle on it. Here, this little knob, so you didn't have to spin it like that. Anyway, it's had, I don't know how many motors on it over the years. This is just an old Rockwell motor that I got off of something else, and ended up using that on it. This is the original spur center. I don't have the spanner. I think I made one at one time, but I don't see it laying here. But to take that off, but you know, it's the only thing you use it for, so you don't. I never need to take it off. Now the cup center. This is the original cup center that came with the lathe from the 30s, and I was in a move years ago. This would have been uh, in the probably the late 80s. I was moving after I got out of the Navy, and this tip got lost, came out, the center for the cup center. And I told my dad I'm going to have to make one. And at that time, I didn't have a metal lathe or anything to make one. And he said, well, let me check with Sears and I'll get you one. And I'm like, there's no way. And it was like maybe 3 weeks later, a month later or something. He says, I got your cup center. They still had these in stock for this lathe. The exact, look at that. And it's the exact same, pretty much the exact same thing. This chamfer here is a little bit different, but yeah, so my dad got me that from Sears. I doubt you can get it now, but back in the 80s, yeah, you could still get parts for these. Yeah, I was astounded when we saw that. But yeah, so there it is, my little vintage wood lathe. Okay, yeah, and I'd say, yeah, some of these handles I don't remember, but some of these handles I probably turned on this lathe. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to show y'all my favorite little lathe that has a lot of history. Um, yep, a lot of good memories with this old lathe right here. I love it. So yeah, I hope you okay. So I hope you appreciate me showing you my old lathe. I'll see you in the next one.